Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, Be on LinkedIn to Win. This webinar is brought to you by New Canadians, which is a TV show and web-based series for newcomers to Canada and those who are about to immigrate to Canada. And you can watch us on Omni Television if you're here already in Canada, or you can watch us anytime from anywhere on our website, newcanadians.tv, as well as on our YouTube channel, where this webinar is also being live streamed. My name is Gerard Kalechian, and I'm delighted to have today on this webinar globally recognized LinkedIn trainer Shelley Elsliger. She's also the president of Linked Express. Before handing over to Shelley, just a small reminder that you can type your questions during the presentation on Zoom. Just use the Q&A tab on Zoom or in the chat box on YouTube. And Shelley will do her best to answer those questions during the presentation when possible, or in the Q&A segment right after at the end of the webinar. Welcome, Shelley, to our webinar today. Be on LinkedIn to Win.
Thanks, Gerard.
Thank you. I cannot but stress the importance of LinkedIn. I've benefited from it personally, and always when I hear your presentations or I hear you speaking, or even when we chat, it's amazing. I always learn something new, and I'm excited that our viewers today will have the opportunity to learn from your wealth of experience. So I'll hand it over to you to give them the secrets of winning on LinkedIn.
Okay, and I have lots of secrets, so thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, all good?
Yes.
Okay, welcome everyone to On LinkedIn to Win. I'm Shelley. I'm going to tell you today a lot about, building a story on LinkedIn and also navigating the site and doing things well, because it is a site that is the only professional site with regards to being compared to the other social media platforms. And in reality, it's no longer an option if you really want to showcase your professional brand, both off and online. So as Gerard said, please ask any questions in the chat, and I'll do my best to get to them either throughout the presentation or at the end. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the facts, stats, and myths. I'll talk a little bit about creating the story, especially around the algorithm that LinkedIn works with. I'll talk a little bit about networking and building relationships, because LinkedIn was built as a networking site. So a lot of people think it's an online resume, but it actually isn't. It's a networking site, so you can go so far and above what you actually do on a resume. A resume has its own story and own purpose, and so does a LinkedIn profile. The importance of personalization and engagement, and I will add customization to that. How to build a little bit of a strategy. I'll talk about that at the end. Mastering the art of social reciprocity, which is the art of giving, and it really is the key to building relationships and having success on LinkedIn, and some do's and don'ts. Okay. So fact, LinkedIn is not your online resume. It is actually your digital professional story. It's no longer just an option. In fact, 95% of employers or recruiters or professionals in general that are wanting to know more about you will vet your profile first before they ever ask for a resume. And you won't even know, because they use what is called LinkedIn Recruiter, which is a special software that they add to their LinkedIn profile, and it allows them to access any profiles, public profiles on the site. It's expected that you have a LinkedIn presence. I don't think there's anybody today, especially in the face of COVID. Um, in fact, based on LinkedIn stats, within a 3 month period, LinkedIn had become 3 times more active in terms of people on the profile, people on the site, people joining the site, and people actively trying to reach their goals on the site. So it says a lot about where we are today, and I don't think it's going to stop into the future. I think that it's only going to get bigger and better and allow people more opportunities to reach their goals, I should say. So again, 95% of employers and recruiters use LinkedIn. This is based on stats from actually LinkedIn. Since I'm a trusted speaker for LinkedIn, I get a lot of access to some of the more current stats that are available. So it's great to be able to share those with you. And many people are on LinkedIn, but not LinkedIn. And I think that that's why I enjoy giving these presentations, because there are a lot of people on LinkedIn, but they don't necessarily know how to develop a story that speaks to people and how to navigate the site so that they can actually work with LinkedIn, work with the algorithm of LinkedIn and not against it, so that LinkedIn is able to give you gifts. Everything that is attached to the LinkedIn profile, and I'm going to go over some sections on how you can build a really great story to connect with people, but also how you can tune in to that search algorithm that is so important to LinkedIn and allowing other people to find you. Because LinkedIn works in two ways. You can be active to reach your goals, and LinkedIn can also act passively to reach your goals. LinkedIn is a 24/7 platform, and it's globally connected. In fact, I just received this great kind of like picture showing just how powerful LinkedIn is and where it exists all over the world. And that was one of the key, I guess, decisions on coming up with Reid Hoffman had when he developed LinkedIn, and that was to develop not only a local network, but a global network that can be powerful depending on what your goals are. So just the stats, that was from December 2020, but right now we're actually over 760 million global users in 200 countries worldwide. In Canada, the most represented industries are finance, tech, and engineering. It's the only professional social media platform. Profiles with photos get 21 times more views. So of course, that's going to be brought up a lot in the presentation, the power of visuals. 20 million companies listed on the site and 20 million job postings at any given time. 300 million active monthly users and 40% visit daily. 90 million senior level influencers and 63 million decision makers use LinkedIn actively. In 2019, LinkedIn was voted the most trusted network by Business Insider. If you don't know Business Insider, it's a great place to visit and find out information, not only about LinkedIn, but business in general. Recruiters and employers use it to vet potential candidates, and you will not know. And your LinkedIn profile and your resume have separate jobs to do. So when you start thinking differently, they can actually help to support each other. If your goal is to find a job, if your goal is to promote your business, if your goal is to network, everybody has different goals, and sometimes all three are represented, and people want to use LinkedIn for all three and even more. So basically, your LinkedIn goals. If you want to look at LinkedIn in a more holistic way, you're going to be thinking about how you can build your professional and focus story. So it's not about just connecting with like anybody, but you have an ideal target audience that you want to connect with. Mainly, you can connect with other people, of course. I do all the time, but I always go on LinkedIn when I'm going for my business. I always know the ideal people, the ideal professional network I want to connect with, because everything I'm going to do for them. I'm going to make sure that they know I'm speaking to them via LinkedIn. Your other goal is to grow a global network so that you can expand your reach and be more powerful and more popular. And I don't mean popular in a negative sense. I mean popular in terms of how LinkedIn, the platform, sees you. For example, if you just build a profile but you don't do anything on the profile, then it will not take long for LinkedIn to see that you're not an active networker. And networkers have to be active. So, therefore, your profile and the content that you might share, if it's only once in a while, may not bring a lot of viewers or a lot of viewing to your profile. So, you have to remember that it's not just about building a story, but being active on LinkedIn as well. They go together: navigation, implementation, and visibility. Share and engage content relevant to your industry or to your interests, or um, to, well, to your company if you have one. Earn credibility and trust. Trust takes a long time to gain. So think about it. When we're dealing with somebody and we want to work with somebody, we go to the person. There may be 3 or 4 or 5 people that have all the same qualifications, but we connect and we build a relationship with the person that we trust the most, the person we connect with the most. So the same exists on LinkedIn. You want to start building trust and credibility so that people want to work with you. People want to get to know you, and people want to introduce you, because introductions are a big part of LinkedIn. Master the art of social reciprocity. So when I get up in the morning, my LinkedIn time is in the morning. The first thing I do is I think about how I can help my network. Can I comment on somebody's post? Can I share a really good post? Yesterday I shared a post on friendships on LinkedIn, because I have developed some of the best friendships on LinkedIn, and it is my go-to spot. They're there to rise me up. They're there to support me. And I got so much feedback and so much, great responses from that post. And it was just something I really wanted to do, to give back and say thank you. But part of my success on LinkedIn, and it can be anybody's success on LinkedIn, is to learn the art of social reciprocity and flex those social reciprocity muscles. It's really important, because that's how you gain the trust and credibility that I mentioned previously. Believe in your professional brand. Confidence and LinkedIn go hand in hand. So even if you're experiencing what I call imposter syndrome, you feel like, oh, maybe I don't want to share, maybe I'm not the best one to share, just fight the fear and do it anyway, because we all have, when we started on this on this platform, we all go in there with a little bit of fear, anxiety, or maybe even just doubt, like, what do we post? But once you start posting and you start sharing and you start helping other people, eventually you find your niche and you find your place on LinkedIn and you start owning that place. But it's not an overnight deal. LinkedIn is a process and not a destination. And when we start thinking about the process, we actually enjoy it much more than thinking that it's going to be a quick fix and suddenly tomorrow everybody's going to want to work with us, everybody's going to want to hire us, and everybody's going to want to, connect with us and introduce us. It just doesn't work that way, because this is a professional site, and people want to know the people that they are hanging out with are credible and trustworthy, and use it to reach your professional goals. So LinkedIn is not only important for job search. This is a big myth that people, connect LinkedIn to. They think it's only job search. So of course, networking is a big part of job search. And that's why there is a specific area right on LinkedIn for looking at jobs. But besides that part of LinkedIn, there are really some important aspects that you have to look at. It boosts your credibility. It establishes your brand. It helps you to develop thought leadership, build relationships and community, assert professional expertise, trust, and help you to find opportunities. Because it's often the people that you're working with are the people that will allow you to find those opportunities. And so it's really important to think besides what you want to achieve, like the end result. Think about what you have to do to get there. think about the things that you can do to get there to help you get there at a faster rate and a more positive rate. So what about your LinkedIn profile? And you can use the chat. It'd just be interesting to see where you stand on your LinkedIn profile. How do you feel? And you can put some, feel free to answer in the chat. We're a smaller group, so we can talk about that later. And it gives me a great idea of where you are. But how do you feel? Is it a lot like your resume? Does it not do a lot to represent your professional brand? So like you have a brand, but LinkedIn is not doing that. You don't have a lot of content, so it's pretty bare when people go there to view you. You have content, but you need some really great tips, all of the above, or maybe it's another. So I'll give you like a minute to kind of like, just tell me where you fit in with your own LinkedIn profile. And Gerard, maybe you can give me some of the feedback that's there.
Definitely. My LinkedIn profile actually initially was more of a resume, and it took me a while. Of course, and I benefited a lot from your knowledge, your experience, to turn it into a LinkedIn profile, a true LinkedIn profile, and not a resume. Yeah,
a lot of
the
people, like I
viewers.
see here, it's like a resume. I mean, I put these ones here because these are the common answers that people will give me when I talk to them. So I see somebody said, oh, my resume, which is often the most common one, actually. That's why I put it at the top. But we can talk about it actually in the chat later on as well. So it's just kind of interesting to see where you are. What do you see when you view your own profile? Because this is your place. It's like anything that you send out, whether it's your resume, your cover letter, how do you feel about it? Do you connect with it? The more you're connected with it, the better it is. And the more confident you are when you share it. I know that I'm really confident about my LinkedIn profile. I work at it all the time. Just because I'm, a LinkedIn trainer, I'm constantly working on my LinkedIn to make it better, because my message changes, my profile changes, my background changes, my message changes, my goal changes. So I really am constantly on it and just always trying to make it better. Okay, so the 3 top goals, if you think about LinkedIn holistically, you want to have presence, credibility, and earn and enhance influence. So influence is a big word, but what it means is that people are starting to listen, to follow you, introduce you, read your story, read your content, and pay it forward. So, having a presence, having a voice, feeling good about it, feeling that you have a place, feeling that your social recognition is there. People are starting to recognize you. And that's what networking is about when we're live. We don't have to connect with everybody, but the ones that we do connect with, we're hoping that there's going to be a relationship that continues, that conversation continues, and maybe reaching our goal, or even part of that goal, is going to be enhanced once we network effectively with the right people. And influence, what happens with influence, and this is part of being active on LinkedIn, is it allows people to understand that you have a certain niche, that you do things differently. People do not want to know what you do. So as I go along, you're going to realize that your title, even though we like our titles, often we like our titles, I even like my title, but people want to know you behind the title. And if you're not effective in really showcasing who you are behind the title will mean really little on LinkedIn. It will not go very far. So take the focus off of the title and put the focus more on letting people know who you are behind the title, because that's what influences people in how they're going to get to know you and whether or not they're going to want to get to know you. So we're going to talk about building your LinkedIn story. And the first part of the story that you build is your top fold. And the top fold is the top of your LinkedIn story, your LinkedIn profile. And it's really, really, really important because this part of your profile follows you. So when people connect with you, this is what they see. A lot of the information within the top fold is all part of the LinkedIn search algorithm as well. So I'll talk a little bit about that. This is where you see some visuals, some very important visuals. This is where you put your profile branding statement. This is where you have your information and your anchor links. And this is where you start your story. Because, right, you want people to hit more. So if you ever notice when you're reading somebody's story, it will only show you a little bit because the idea is to hit more. And when people hit more, your profile becomes more popular within the search algorithm on LinkedIn. It tells LinkedIn that you're an active networker. So what happens is that behind the scenes, LinkedIn will put your profile closer to the top. Okay, so we're going to use Gerard's to just show the we're going to just show the top fold. And I love Gerard's because he worked hard on it. And now when I look at it, I'm so proud of it and so proud of him because it really showcases him as a professional, his niche, what he does, who he is. And it really gives a sense of not only his journey, but the goals he has because he has helped so many people and it really shines in his profile. So as you see, his brand billboard is not what LinkedIn gives us. It's not that blue and gray background. It's never supposed to be the blue and gray background. You're actually supposed to personalize it. So create it, make it your own, put text to it. I love Canva. I use Canva. I make my own because I'm always changing it. This part of your background photo can change, depending on even if you, for example, you're a company and you're doing some kind of an event or you have a new product or service, you could put a temporary background photo up there to bring people to that particular goal that you have. And then you could change it the next day, for example, back to the message that you want to give out continuously. So you'll see he does a really great job. He has New Canadians, which is the logo. He has the hashtag, and I'm going to promote hashtags because hashtags allow people to follow your content. So for example, I follow We Are New Canadians. So if anything comes up that is posted and they use that hashtag, I'm guaranteed it's going to go into my feed. And I want to know everything that's going on with We Are New Canadians, or with the New Canadian show. So I make sure to follow that hashtag. Everybody should have a hashtag. Professional photo, he's looking into the camera, he's front facing, he's warm, he's approachable, and there's no distraction. It's him, and there's nobody else in the photo, which is exactly what he should be. His name is the name that he uses every day. He doesn't have any emojis in there. He doesn't have anything else in there. The closer you keep it to your name, the easier it will be for people to find you, because it was not meant to have a lot of different things and different icons. You'll notice that some people put it in there, but it's because they were not trained properly. You can use icons in your story, but this is not the place for them, not the name. The branding statement. So you'll notice he could have easily just put, he could have just put producer and just left it at producer. But no, he doesn't want to just be a producer. He wants to use, now it's about 300 characters you get. LinkedIn upped the number of characters a couple of months ago. So if you look at him, he says the brain and engine behind New Canadians TV, immigrant entrepreneurship booster, award-winning media and video producer. He has keywords in there, but yet his personality comes through and he says what he is behind the title. He does a great job at that. Contact information, you definitely want to have contact information for people to reach you, your cell number, not your address if you don't have a physical business, but your contact information is important because not everybody wants to continue the using LinkedIn to converse. So maybe your cell phone and an email that is where people can reach you wouldn't be a bad idea. The other thing is that are given 3 anchor links. Anchor links means that you can take 3 websites that you're connected to, and you can go to that, you can put other, and then you can write the the anchor link that you want. So for example, I could put New Canadians as an anchor link. What happens is that anything that goes with New Canadians, my profile will automatically be connected to that anchor link. I could put University of Toronto, it'd be connected as a link, anchor link. I could put Linked Express, or I could put Decide to Be Kind, which is an initiative that I have against bullying. I could put any of those, and what happens is that LinkedIn will automatically connect that website to my profile. So you have the option of doing 3. So anything that you're connected to that you think is going to help you to brand yourself, make sure that you're putting it in there. Then the story starter. So the story starter is the first couple of lines of your LinkedIn profile. So you don't want it to be like your resume. You want to come up with something that is kind of catchy and puts you in a great space to create a story. Story have that emotional connection. That's resumes do not. Resumes do not have an emotional connection. They're just there to help employers or recruiters, look at your information better, but they don't connect on an emotional level. A story does. So here's some background photos. So we saw Gerard's. Here's Johnny. Johnny's an old client of mine, and he begged me to use his profile. So I said, yes, Johnny, because I like it. Johnny works for RBC, but the great thing about Johnny is that since Johnny is a student, he has always branded himself with a couple of things. He always has the logo in the background, and he's always smiling, and he's always with people. And he does not change that. Everybody knows Johnny. And the reason he does that is because he's an amazing relationship builder, and he can sell a 3-legged chair. Honestly, he can sell, and that's why he's in banking. He can sell anything, and he's so good with people. So he represents himself, and it rarely changes. Here's an example of somebody who's in dietitian and nutrition, and she does a great job of using food as a way to showcase her brand. Let's take a look at a couple more. We have Nadisha Berry. She has her logo, she has her name signed, and she has just three representation to give herself credibility. And then we have Chantel, who does she wants to tell exactly what she does. She's in marketing, personal branding, career development, and future of work. So there is no one fits all, but you want to do one that kind of conveys your goal. So what is your goal and what do you connect with? So I talked about Gerard's branding statement earlier. And the reason I called it a branding statement is because, as I said, Gerard could have said producer. That would have been a tagline. Normally people just have their title up there, and it does not do anything for the search algorithm. So if you take a look, here are some examples like Gerard's. So if somebody was a career coach, they could use something career transition coach, author, navigating careers. If you're looking for a job and struggling, I'll help you gain the clarity and confidence to secure your next role or start your own business. So you see a really telling us what that person is going to do, not what the person is, but what the person can do. Business analyst, report manager at your service, KPI, analytics, performance, expense tracking, and revenue analysis. Tableau, BPC. So you'll see there's definitely keywords, and we need keywords throughout our profile to help with the search algorithm. Entrepreneur and founder. I help consultants win 5- and 6-figure deals. No begging for referrals, no networking. HR specialist, inclusion and diversity leader. WXN Top 100 Canada's Most Powerful Women. CCDI D&I Practitioner of the Year. And marketing specialist, digital and social media, campaign launcher, coffee lover, content queen. So you see that there are some that really give an aspect of their personality. There are some that are clearer with keywords that will get picked up by a recruiter or an employer easily. And then some are really specific, saying, this is what I'm going to do for you. So think about it as part of the algorithm, because this is the first part of the search algorithm, the branding statement. Story starters. So they're really important. If we take a look at story starters, they help develop your story. So you want that person to hit more. So here's a few of them that are really creative. In a nutshell, I'm a guy who's crazy about experiential learning and impactful educational experiences that take the learning beyond the classroom and inspire students to think critically about their career and life choices. I enable organizations and individuals to grow through major change and significant shift by harnessing the power of emotion. Be heard. One thing my investment advisors and clients always say to me is, I feel understood. I feel like you really get what I'm saying. I'm described as creative and effective, a driven and intelligent business professional, natural leader and incredibly quick learner, clear and proficient communicator, and delightfully fun and energetic, while abundantly smart and sharp as a tack. I'm humbled by the words of former bosses, peers, mentors, professors, and former teammates. I hold them all in equally high regard. A former boss once once sent me an Albert Einstein quote in which he described himself as passionately curious. She told me my thirst for knowledge and desire to research everything reminded her of this. I'd also like to think she was liking me to Einstein. Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm passionately curious. So you'll see all of them are different. I'm more, if you look at mine, I talk about the shoe that I once used. I have a story. Some people are more up there with regards to what they want to do. It depends on your goals, and it depends on how you're going to create the rest of your story. But all of them make you want, they're compelling. They send curiosity. They make you think that you want to know more. And that is the key of a story starter, not something that you cut and paste from your resume. So let's talk about your LinkedIn story. So we have the story starter. Think about Simon Sinek. If you don't know Simon Sinek, he's great. He has this book called Show Me Your Why, or Tell Me Your Why. And I love about why, because this is really important to your story. What's your expertise and credibility? Or how are you going to build that in your story? Why you? Remember to be human. People do not like LinkedIn when it's too transactional, because it doesn't allow a space for building relationship. Sprinkle with keywords. Show your wisdom along the way. Show what you've been through. That can mean a lot, and it can tell a lot about you. Have a call to action at the end. Showcase some visuals in your featured section, and always write in first person. This is your space. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of really good stories and why. So the first one is a story. So I enable organizations and individuals to grow through major change and significant shift by harnessing the power of emotion. Whether undergoing merger, acquisition, startup, explosive growth, or significant contraction due to today's economic climate, the strategies and tools of change enthusiasm are motivating and energizing workforces worldwide. So that's her intro. My consulting firm is unique in that it was birthed from the pain and challenges I overcame as a corporate executive. I created and cultivated a growth strategy to reach fulfilled success despite facing some of the most tumultuous and emotionally draining change possible. So she gives a bit of her personality, but she doesn't sugarcoat it either. She's saying that what came about for her came as a result of her own of pain, or of pain points that she experienced in her own journey. Today, I'm on a mission to bring this strategy to clients all over the world. So she talks about her mission, enabling individuals within their workforce to harness the power of their emotion to not only accelerate business results and successful change adoption, but their own personal fulfilled success and growth through change. That is her why. That is why she is doing what she's doing and the way that she's doing it. I offer a free 30-minute exploratory session and several tip sheets on workforce change that can be found on my website. I'd be enthused to connect with you. This is her call to action. She's offering something, and she's kind of using the enthuse because her company is called Change Enthusiasm, and she's putting that as an end. So that's one story. There's another story, and I'm not going to read all through it, but I'm just going to show you the difference. So, this is somebody who's a content writer, a marketer. So she starts off by saying who she is. I'm a storyteller, and a strategic problem solver. This is what I focus on. I'm a wordsmith. I love brilliant headlines and copy. I'm a journalist at heart. So she really does a great beginning to really showcase herself because she's an emotional storyteller. She loves storytelling and she wants to pay this forward. Then she says, what makes up my UVP? Then she gives her UVP is her unique value proposition. So it's her unique value. You'll often see that UVP. So she talks about her English skills, our experience with press releases, her sales experience, her collaboration and communication skills, her social media, her creative thinking, and she has a proactive mind. So she's really putting that all down so that somebody may want to hire her by what she has. One thing, one don't is do not put that you're looking for a job or that you're unemployed or anything like that, because it takes away from your confidence. People are on LinkedIn to find out what you have. So that's why take what you have or what you're coming with and create that in your branding statement and in your story. So then she says, I've been known to deliver engaging, creative content. And then she says where it's posted. And then her call to action is basically, she says, I love storytelling, truly passionate about living a life of purpose and growth. If my story resonates with you, send me a connection request and tell me your why. That's her way of trying to continue the conversation. LinkedIn just added a featured, it's called a featured section in your about section. So this is where you can add video. This is where you can add pictures. This is where you can add a document. This is where you can add a link. And it will be featured, so it will stand out on your profile. If you have a company page or a website, you can put the link there. If you have a blog, you can put the link there. If you have pictures, like I like to put a picture when I was on, when I first did the new Canadian show, I had to put that picture right on my featured section because it tells what's going on in my life and it's in the present. So this is a great, great feature. And this comes directly from LinkedIn, that it's there to showcase samples of your work. So people who view your profile, they can get a sense of your experience and your skills. And this is really, really important if you have a job, a company to sell, or you have background and experience that you can feature and showcase. This will help build your credibility and your trust. So in the experience section, so that was the second part of the LinkedIn search algorithm, the story. The third part is the experience section. And I want you to think of it as your own special cupcake. When I go into Prairie Girl for the cupcakes, I don't care about the bottom. I care about the top. What's on the top? All of that crazy icing. And look at the LinkedIn cupcakes by Cupcake Queen. I love them. I actually ordered LinkedIn cupcakes for an event one time, and they were awesome. So think about your cupcake and what's on top. So start by making sure to connect with the company page, because you can connect and that will also increase credibility. Start with an overview or a summary. So I had somebody who was working at Starbucks, and what they started with was by saying, I'm not your average barista. I have spent 3 years learning my customers' names and making sure that I can create anything that they want, and I can make sure I remember it by the second time that they've ordered their latte or their skinny latte or whatever they want to say. So what's happening is that you're putting every experience in a positive light about yourself, and you're using qualitative and quantitative, kind of something qualitative and quantitative or both, to kind of put that experience in perspective. Because it's not your resume, so you don't just want to cut and paste your resume. There will be some overlap, but you want to make sure that it really speaks to you. Front load your accomplishments. What have you been recognized for? Use some keywords. Go beyond what is intuitive. Develop the skills and the responsibilities that you have. Show some wins for the company. If it's not a company that I know or recognized, if you worked somewhere else, make sure that you're maybe talking a little bit about that company. You have 2,000 characters to work with. If somebody gave you a testimonial or a recommendation, make sure that you put a little snippet in there of that recommendation. Again, building credibility. and roles and responsibilities that will overlap with somewhat with your resume. Just think that it's behind the title, as I said earlier. The fourth part, so that was the third part of the LinkedIn search algorithm. The fourth part of the LinkedIn search algorithm, the skills section. Really focus on the 3 top skills and the skills that you're going to use and the skills you're going to promote. Think about the skills in 2 ways. The skills that people know you have, transferable skills, professional skills, and then the skills that are directly related to the field and the expertise that you have. So 50 skills, the top 3 matter. You can pin them. You can change them anytime that you want. Declutter the unnecessary skills. If you were in a field before and you're no longer in that field, take away those skills. Don't worry about the endorsements because they're not going to matter if you're not utilizing those skills. Always make sure that your LinkedIn is about the present and where you want to go, not where you've been, because you want it to work for you. If you work in a company or you work and you're in a group of people that have gotten to know you, ask for endorsements, but do not forget to give. So, it's an easy way to really help people because you need 99 in one endorsement area to be considered an expert in that field. Doesn't have to be overnight, but the more you get, the higher it is on the algorithm. But don't be afraid to ask people. People who know what you have and what you do are often willing to share and help you. But just don't forget to give. And in my opinion, give first. Help people out. It's the best way for others to want to help you. Sprinkle throughout the story and give as you would receive. Your education is not part of the LinkedIn algorithm. It's automatically an anchor link. So once you put in your education, it connects you with that school and anybody else that's connected to that school. So, put in your field of study, put in your degree, put in anything that you want that stood out for you in your education. And it doesn't even have to stick just to education. If you've taken specific courses or other training, you can definitely add that as well. Recommendations. Social recognition is important. So for the people that basically reach out to them for a recommendation. You just have to go to their profile, go to more, hit more. It'll go down and it'll say ask for a recommendation. And my suggestion is to give them as much as they can to work with. So almost write it, put in those points because you don't want a general recommendation. You want them to talk about the details of the position or the role or the project that you worked on. If you've grown with the company, if you've helped, if you did something that really mattered, if you were recognized, your contributions and your achievements. And you want them to end with a note on whether they would recommend you or not. So recommendations are important and testimonials are important because, again, we're looking at the person behind the title. As Simon Sinek says it, people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. That's how we connect with people. So make sure, obviously he's one of my favorite people because he just says things the way that they are. And he loves LinkedIn. So he's a friend of mine. Okay, so now I want to know, again, we're not going to spend too much time on it, but a lot of people, so if you look at the 2 examples, you'll see your LinkedIn URL. So when you go to your LinkedIn, what does your URL look like? Are there a lot of random numbers at the end or no random numbers? If there are a lot of random numbers, I'm going to challenge you to change it immediately, like after this workshop, because it automatically looks like you're a beginner and you cannot use that kind of URL in your marketing material. Make sure that you edit it so that it's just your name, your first name and your second name. And then when you have, like the second one, right candidate, when you have that, then you can market that on your resume, on your cover letter, on your signature, on your website, on your anything. Because you can even get badges for your website or your blog that will help people to come back to LinkedIn and connect with you. But you want to show people that you know and that you're spending time to create a really robust story. So if you just use all of these numbers, and believe me, a lot of people have that, this is your time to change it so that your profile is connected with your name. Try to put your first and second name. If you have a common name, you might just have to put in a middle name, or use it like I do. I have S. Seltzlinger, and I just used it that way because it's in all of my marketing materials. So now we're going to get into, now that you have that, the personalized approach to LinkedIn. Everybody wants to be heard, understood, remembered, and respected. First of all, I very rarely connect with somebody who doesn't have a picture, and I rarely connect with somebody who doesn't send me a personalized approach, meaning a connection request. Because now, with everything that LinkedIn does, you can send a personalized approach even on your mobile. And I'm going to show you that because it's ultra important. So if I want to reach out to Gary V, I should say, who is an excellent guy to know if you're in marketing, I'm not going to just send and say send without adding a note. This is from my desktop. So I never send a connection request without adding a note. But on my mobile, I can as well. So, and this is just before we get to the mobile piece. You know, I want to write something to Gary that's polite, pertinent, personalized, professional, and praiseful. So, you know, everybody wants to know why. They want to know why you're reaching out to them. And by customizing your connection request, it's going to change the way that you navigate LinkedIn, and it's going to change your experience. So if you look, I would tell him why. I met Gary a long time ago not a long time ago at Haste and Hustle. And I work in the personal branding space, so I want to be able to recommend him. And it would be better if we were connected, because I would like to help him. So I did it in that way. I sent him a note that would show him I wanted to help. On your phone, instead of just hitting connect, you want to go to more. Or if you have another version of a phone, it might be the 3 dots. And when you go to more, you're going to see personalized request. And that's going to allow you to send any customized request on your phone. So there's no reason why anybody would ever have to send a request that was not personalized. If you have a business, you have the opportunity to have your own business page. And this is an example of Juan Salting, and I use him because he uses his business page. If you go to any business page on the site, on the right-hand side, it will say create your business page. And this is a way for you to create a business page so that people are getting to know your business. So you can speak from your business. You can give your business its own kind of like profile, and you can you can use your personal profile to get people to follow your professional profile, and you can get testimonials, and you can engage with your community from your company. So it's a great way to do that. There's a lot around a company page, and that's a whole different like workshop and presentation. But this is just an example of somebody who uses it quite well. LinkedIn groups. So there are a lot of LinkedIn groups. You get to pick 100, I think it is, but I'm going to recommend that you pick 5 to 10. And I'm going to give you a little hack. So this is a really good LinkedIn group called Stepping into the Spotlight. Look at the number of members, 13,049 members. And she actually has more than that. She's very active on the group. So anybody who's in the field of marketing and in the field of speaking and engaging with people, this is an excellent group. What you want to do though in groups is that you want to be active. So my idea is pick 5 to 10 groups that are really great and active, and then get known. And I'm just going to give you a little hack while we're here. Within groups, you can pick 15 people a month that you can reach out to without sending them a connection request. You can send them an email. You have 15 per month, and you do not have to have another kind of LinkedIn profile. You can use it with the free profile, but you can connect with 15 people by sending an email. So if you go to this group and you see somebody that you want to connect with, you can go to the end of the profile, you see a little email box, and you can actually send an email. So that's 15 per month. So it's a great way to get to know people before you actually connect with them. So the other thing that I want to mention is that we all have a CQR code, a QR code. So if you're ever, once we get out of COVID and we're actually networking, just remember that you have a QR code on your link. You can download the LinkedIn app, and in the search, you'll see this little box, and that will give you your QR code. So when you're in a situation where you are talking to somebody and getting to know somebody, you don't want to have to worry about their name or how to spell their name or how to find them. You can put on your QR code and get them to put on their QR code and connect, and it'll take you right to their profile so you don't miss out on anything. So that's another little hack that a lot of people don't know about. Okay, and just before we end, I just want to say the importance of engaging and influencing. So if you really want to navigate LinkedIn like a pro, get used to helping other people. So, you can share content, you can tag somebody and recognize them. So for example, if you did happen to learn a lot from this presentation today and you want to tag me, I do not mind being tagged because I can support your profile and get people to recognize you. It's a great way. You can tag Gerard, you can tag New Canadians. I mean, there's so many ways to be helpful, and this is just an example, but there's so much great content out there. There's a reaction, a comment, a like, and a hashtag. Your hashtag means that you are a leader of that hashtag and people can start following you. But I will say one thing, like is at the bottom of influence. So if you really want to connect with people and really want to help with your own getting yourself out there, then you want to do more than a like. So a like and a comment would be actually so much better and so much more influential within the confines of LinkedIn. And master the art of social reciprocity. As I said, I have to always end with this because there's nothing like building trust and building relationships. So on that note, we can open it up to Q&A.
Shelley Dania has a question, and she's asking if you can briefly explain again about the anchor links and what are the anchor links and what do they mean?
So anchor links, LinkedIn allows you to connect with 3 links. So the link might be your blog, it might be your website, it might be the company you work with, it might be New Canadians, it might be the university that you went to. There's 3 links, but you have to, when you go onto your top fold and you go into the information that you can give to people, you'll see websites. It'll allow you to upload 3, but you want to use other, and then you want to write the name of that particular website or company or link that you want to be connected with. So it's like, so for example, myself, I could be connected to University of Toronto because I work there. I could be connected to Linked Express because it's my website. And I could be connected to New Canadians because I do some work for them. So it's just an example and it can change. So it's just to help to increase and showcase your profile. It's to give you a chance to connect the things that help create you.
Thank you, Shelley. There's a question from Remy as well. He's saying that this is a very interesting session and very eye-opening one. And definitely it will help him improve his LinkedIn page big time. But his question is that if there were 2 things that he should do to improve the visibility of his profile right after this session, what would they be?
Make sure that those 4 parts of the LinkedIn algorithm are complete. So the branding statement, the story, the about section, the skills section, and the experience section, because they work directly with the search algorithm. The other thing is that I would create my billboard because visuals connect with people and the billboard follows you. So just like Gerard's billboard, it's what I see when I go to his profile. So I see New Canadians, I see the blue and the red and black. I like it. I'm connected with visuals. And so it just creates an emotional content visually. So I can't say enough about creating a really a billboard for yourself. And I just want to mention, so I don't forget, postal code that you put in your LinkedIn profile is important. And I'm going to say one thing. The postal code does not have to be where you're living. The postal code can be where you want to work, where you want to be. So it can be future, it can be, so I'll give you an example. If you're living in Burlington, but you want to work in downtown Montreal, Toronto, or you want companies to find your profile, then you want to put a postal code that's more in the vicinity of Toronto, because that's how LinkedIn is going to give you gifts. They give you gifts by using your postal code. So it doesn't have to be where you live. It has to be where you want your profile to show up.
Thanks, Shelley. There's another question from one of our other viewers, Amardeep, and he's asking if he should use the open to work badge in his profile picture, or does that make him look desperate or too needy?
So I'm not a big fan of the open to work profile. I open to work badge, because I'm much more about credibility and keywords and being found for your worth. I'm not quite sure the open for work badge has really, how do you say that, made a difference in how people are connecting with work. I think they're still trying to figure out if it's actually had a difference. But a lot of people who are career coaches on top of being LinkedIn trainers like myself kind of say, no, you don't need that. You don't need to put, what you need to do is really focus on making sure you're making the right connections and then selling your background and experience. So I think that that's more important than the open to work badge.
Thanks for the answer again. And there's one more question. I think the viewers now get excited with their questions. So there's a question from Shabnam about the gap years. So she's saying that how to mention gap years, for example, more than 5 years in their LinkedIn profile.
How to mention a gap year?
Yes, if she has, it seems she or he has 5 years of a gap in her career. So how to mention that in the LinkedIn profile?
So I don't know what happened during that gap. So the great thing about a LinkedIn profile is that it doesn't matter about that. What you're going to put in your LinkedIn profile, if you notice, it's no longer called work experience, it's called experience section. So even in that gap time, if you did a role, like say a volunteer role or a role on a committee or a board role, you could put that in there. So you see what I mean? You don't have to focus so much. It's a little bit different than the resume, but you're really focused on, and I'll give you an example. You don't even have to go back. You can decide where you want that experience to start as well. It doesn't have to go back eons and eons and eons and eons to incorporate everything, right? So you get to create that space the way that you want to create that space. And it doesn't have to only be with regards to work experience. You're trying to create a LinkedIn profile that is speaking about a specific area. And so I don't talk about too much about my profile before, like I was a teacher for many years. I have one, I think, experience, or maybe I even took that out because I've developed things, but that was a big chunk of my life, but it's no longer relevant for me. That's not what I'm in. That's not what I do. So I actually removed it because I didn't want my profile to be swayed. So you can choose when you want it to start, and you can choose what you put in there. And you can also fill that gap year in, gap time in with some other things you may have done. There's a lot of flexibility around that section, but it's a necessary section because it's part of the LinkedIn algorithm.
Yes, she just added the clarification or clarified her point that she was not able to work because of some family responsibilities. But I do believe you answered the question. And so with this question, we'll end our presentation for today. Thank you, Shelley, so much. And I learned two things as well today from you: the features, mainly, most importantly, the feature section. which I hadn't noticed recently, and for sure I will be using it. So thank you again for your time, Shelley, and for all the tips and the experience you share. And we will bringing you back as well in future webinars. So stay tuned for more detailed webinars as well on LinkedIn. I know today we covered it broadly, as well as stay tuned and follow us on our channels, because we've done a number of interviews with Shelley that will be broadcast in the following weeks on our TV show on Omni Television in Canada, as well as online. So you can access them online, because each interview focuses on one specific point or one area that she mentioned during her presentation. So this was our webinar for today, Be on LinkedIn to Win, with globally recognized LinkedIn trainer, Shelley Elsliger. And before wrapping up, just a reminder that if you can always connect with Shelley on LinkedIn, as well as you can connect with me, but you can also visit Shelley's website, linkedexpress.ca, to know more about her work and get access to some of the resources that she shares as well. And to know more about the upcoming events, the upcoming webinars, as well as when Shelley's video interviews have been posted or broadcast on our TV show, stay in touch with our social media channels on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and obviously on LinkedIn. On Facebook, we have a group as well that you can be part of, where you can ask questions or ask for support. And Shelley is part of that group as well, and she will be answering, and members of the team would answer your questions. And also, if you are on Telegram, the messaging app, we do message about our live streams and our webinars there. So feel free to subscribe. You will get a link in your follow-up communication. So feel free to subscribe and stay in touch that way as well. But if you're busy and you just want to kind of to get the best of what New Canadians produces or does, you can subscribe to our monthly newsletter, and you will get the best information and resources right in your inbox. One small request before we wrap up. Once you exit Zoom, you will be directed to a short survey. It will take less than a minute. Just give us your experience and your opinion and experience about today's webinar, and that will help us improve our future offerings and create a better experience for you. Thank you, viewers who joined us from Canada and also from other parts of the world, and thank you, Shelley, once again.
Thank you, everybody. Happy LinkedIn building.
Yes, happy LinkedIn building, and see you in a new event, and stay healthy.